sure. Yes, it's underway now.
Okay. Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to the extraordinary meeting of Brixworth Parish Council. As usual, as part of the welcome, if there is a broadband outage, then we'll reconvene as soon as possible, but hopefully we can get the financial bit done before anything drastic goes on. Item 2 on the agenda is any apologies, Peter?
No, only one from District Councillor Jonathan Harris, who can't make it tonight.
Okay. Item 3 is declarations of interest. Any members' declaration of interest? No? Okay. Item 4 is to agree and sign the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 25th of June, which was paper A. Has everybody had a chance to read those?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, could I have a proposal that they're accepted then, please? Thank you, Jackie. A second?
I'm happy to second them.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All those in favour of accepting them, please?
Yeah.
Right. Lena, are you abstaining? Lena, are you abstaining, or were you?
Yes, I am, yes, because I wasn't there, yes.
Okay, yeah. Item 5 is public open forum session for anybody to have any comments. Nick, have you got anything to say, or are you just listening in?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just listening in and trying to participate where possible in the parish meetings, given that we're all sat at home. So thank you for the invite, and I'll look forward to hearing what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay then, moving on to part 1 for decisions. Item 6 is finances. This is the item that was missed off the agenda last week. To consider the financial transactions and authorised payments for June 2020, which is paper B. Everyone's had a chance to view those. Any comments to make on them?
No.
No? Could we have a proposal then that we pay our bills?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Yeah.
Who was that? James, thank you. All those in favour then, please? That's everyone, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then moving on to item 7, which is business continuity in line with COVID-19, is to consider the following actions following latest government advice. We're doing one at a time. The play equipment that we're responsible for, there seems to be confusing guidelines at the moment issued by government. And there's really 2 schools of thought really. Do we make parents responsible for cleaning the equipment after the children have used it, or B, do we just keep the things shut until we get some more or better guidance from government? I think really there are 2 options.
I personally think the latter is the most safest approach. You can't actually rely or guarantee that parents would sanitise the play equipment after it's been used. The safest option is to abstain until government advises otherwise.
Okay. Jackie, your hand up?
Yeah, I was going to say the same as Tom, and also once it's open, you'll have children in there, and they won't sanitise it.
No, I actually prefer the latter.
I think we should keep it closed off.
Okay. Anybody else anything to say? Ian?
Yeah, we've got a bit of a problem with the basketball area, Chairman. That's never been fenced off. The kids are climbing all over it, as indeed they will and should. No problem. There's no sanitising. It's never been shut down. So I suggest whatever we do to be consistent, we do include the basketball area in our decision.
Okay, that's, how can we... I suppose the only way we could do that then would be to hire some Paris fencing and put that around it.
Or just take the basketball down. Just take the hoop down.
Does that come down?
I think it's just attached with a few screws, isn't it?
I can look at that. See if we can disable it.
Yeah. Ian?
Mr. Chairman, it's not the basketball. And the last thing I want to do is stop young people having a facility that's good enough on that field. But bouncing the ball and throwing it at the hoop, there's no contact with anything, except perhaps other people playing. It's when they actually lean against it, the seat that's near there, hands all over it, that's where the problem comes. I think we've either got to decide, yes, we take the risk, or no, we don't lock it away, one of the two, and it's a shame for it to go, but I think I'll be consistent.
Sandra?
Do you extend that to benches then? If we're fearful of people touching equipment, then you could say then we need to take the benches away. Yeah, where do you stop?
Ian?
Well, the government has got guidelines, I believe, as to park benches, and this is the play equipment I was particularly worried about, and the bench being a part of the play equipment. I'm not one for saying we should necessarily shut anything down, but I just think we should be consistent in not having some play equipment open and some not. That's what I felt.
Sandra?
And I think you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's a bit of a central government cop-out here, because they're just saying that we've got to understand our local circumstances. I would go with, no matter how wishy-washy it is, I would go with the government guidelines. I think it's poor show when the government says it's up to individual councils, really. I just don't know how far we go with this. You know, do we take benches away? Do we rope benches off? If we rope benches off, they can always still get onto the benches, can't they? You can put a fence around the basketball thing. They can take the fence away. So what do? Do you actually then dismantle benches? Do you dismantle the basketball thing? I mean, no, we've taken swing seats away. That's easy enough, isn't it? But yeah,
Lena?
I'm just thinking that I think it's too late to be fencing it off. I mean, we're coming out of lockdown rather than going into lockdown. If we were going to do it, we should have done it at the beginning. So in that situation, what we should just be saying is, maybe we should just be saying, in that situation, then we do have to pass the requirements on to parents of those children who are sitting on those benches or who are doing those things, because we can't make them do it, but we can say that it's not our responsibility, can't we? We can pass the buck a little bit.
Yeah. Ian?
Well, can we not to be consistent then say that for all the play areas? You know, because some of the parents are going ballistic round here, even so as a result of the lockdown, just want somewhere to take their kids. Now, the last thing I want to do is put people at risk. But sometimes we've got to treat people as grown-ups and say to the parents, well, here is a warning, be careful, but you take the kids to the shop, you take your kids to their friends maybe it's the time we did say, open it up, let the kids there. I mean, I'm sorry to be vague. I don't know the answer myself. I'm hoping the debate will give me an idea.
Sandra?
What we've done down at the tennis club is that we've adhered to central government and LTA guidelines, and even though it's been relaxed, we as a tennis club have still asked our members to still be vigilant and not touch X, Y, and Z, and we can only trust that our members will respect that. So, and I think as Lena said, you know, it's too late, and but all we can do is just ask people to still be vigilant, and if they can, please use wipes or whatever. So maybe there just needs to be, we need to just type up our own guidelines.
Can I report on a meeting I had this morning with other Northants councils?
Tom just wants to have a quick point.
Sorry, Councillor Mitchell.
Yes, sorry. Two things really. I've been in several public parks over the last 4 weeks or so, and none of the benches that are in the ownership of the local authority have been sealed off. So I think the question of benches shouldn't be an issue because they are widely available in the public domain, and we shouldn't start fencing them off. The second point I'd like to make is that is the particular issue over the basketball hoop, because even if you remove the hoop and still leave the backboard up, kids could still equally play with a ball. So you almost have to carry out your own sort of risk assessment here and try and decide for yourself what is the benefit or disbenefit of removing the hoop versus will it be used anyway. It's a difficult one, and I appreciate the frustration. My feeling is erring towards that as we are appearing to be coming out of lockdown, then at least having a hoop for kids to throw a ball through is something rather than nothing. I don't know.
Okay. Peter, do you want to report back on this morning?
I had a meeting this morning with the larger councils with the North Ants. A few of them had used Harris fencing to keep areas safe, and a lot of councils realised there was more risk of children climbing over the Harris fencing than there was of them catching COVID-19. So basically the young people had managed to access the facilities anyway, regardless of the efforts to stop them doing so. And then on Facebook there's a Parish Clerk's Facebook group, and there's about 120 councils took part in a little survey. 70% of the councils said they were reopening the play areas, but with signage, advice signage, saying that it's the parents' responsibility to make sure that the children wash their hands before and after use of the equipment. It's basically just setting the guidelines, like one person per piece of equipment, don't have food or drink with you, etc. Keep social distancing. It's that sort of advice. So the signage issue might be the most convenient route if we needed to open it up.
Okay. So anybody got a proposal to put? I mean, if that's what most councils are doing, it sounds like a sensible route, and that's sort of changing my mind from where I was originally going. But I've forgotten about the basketball hoop completely.
And the Ashway play equipment we've removed the swings, but it's not fenced off. Because it's just the only ones we've locked up is Spratton Road and St David's because they've got gates, but the others are in open fields.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll propose then that we reopen them and put signage on advising parents on the wiping down, social distancing, one person on one piece of equipment. And can we get those signs, Peter, or is it something you would have to make up?
Probably something we'd have to make up. I mean, I can look on the playground supplies in case they've made some already that you can just buy off the shelf.
Yeah.
But I suspect we might have to make them up.
Okay. So I would propose that. Yes, Ian.
Can I just check? This isn't going against any regulation, is it?
No, it's in support of the regulation. It'll only be the words chosen will be the ones that are in the government guidance.
Yeah, that's fine. Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. And it may be another month before we actually get that guidance, because the government are revisiting it now because of the confusion. So we might as well wait till it's all clarified.
Do we have a second for the proposal?
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Lena. All those in favour of the proposal? Those against? Abstentions?
I'm going to abstain if I may, please.
Okay. So that motion is passed then. Kevin, yes?
Sorry, Chair. I presume we will not open it till the signage is up.
That's
Oh,
correct.
yes. Yeah, we need the signage first, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and we won't order the signage until the government's clarified the guidance.
So in the meantime, everything will be kept closed.
Yes.
Yes, until the signage and stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. Everyone happy with that? Yeah.
So can you just clarify the motion? Are you in support of opening up in advance of government advice, or opening up when government advice is available and signage is available?
Well, the government advice is confusing in as much that you can open them up now, but I think we need to wait till we've got the signage ordered and that's in place anyway, just to make sure that we're covered. Sandra?
Now, the government guidelines are clear in that they're saying it's up to local councils what they do. So it's clear in that sense, and that is the decision that we have made. So all we're doing is we've made our decision based on local circumstances. We're going to get the signage made and
Then open them up.
and then go from there. Yeah. So I don't think we're not waiting for a government decision on what we do now. We make the signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is the community centre.
Just before we move on, Chair, Councillor Bunting from the galleries just pointed out that we should encourage all the users to use sanitation, which that will be in the signage.
Okay, yeah.
But equally, I can arrange a weekly clean in any event, which we do anyway, mainly because of the bird issue. Mark's got wipes, etc. that he uses already.
So will he do that every day, first thing in the morning?
He can. I don't know if he could do it every day, but he probably could do it every couple of days. Or the other one, I could get Donald to look at it every day for the two main areas and just give them a wipe over. But that's over and above what we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
Good idea.
Okay, the second one is the community centre. Everyone's probably seen stuff on Facebook and posters around the village saying the Olive Branch are looking to open, is it Monday, Peter?
Yes, yeah.
Next Monday. They've submitted risk assessments to Peter. I don't think any of the councillors have seen them. But we've also asked Daventry's Environmental Health Officer to pay a visit to make sure that it would be safe to open, because there are a lot of restrictions on what can and what can't happen with cafes. There's got to be a separate entrance and exit. There can't be any queuing inside the building. And I don't think we're really qualified enough to say anything on that without the advice of the experts from environmental health. Did anything happen this morning, Peter? Have you spoke to Mike or anything today?
No, I haven't. No. And I was awaiting environmental health to come back to me. Let's hopefully send somebody out to have a look at the building.
Anybody any comments really on the Olive Branch? Sandra?
I mean, there's a huge document, isn't there, on this guidance for the safe use of multi-purpose community facilities. I mean, it goes on and on and on for pages and pages and pages, and it looks like a tick box exercise. I mean, goes back to what I think Tom was saying, is that is it worth it? I mean, is this for the library opening, or is this for the
no, the library's
just the coffee shop?
The library's going to be closed until further notice.
Yeah.
The county are only going to open 5 libraries in the bigger towns.
Yeah.
So Kettering's opening, for example, but Brixworth shut indefinitely. The Olive Branch want to open Monday purely to engage more with the community. And really the community centre we can't really open because the restriction on numbers and also the type of activities we have generally are the ones excluded, such as Zumba and anything that generates a lot of movement. The only one that we could possibly open for is the art club. But even then we'd struggle with an in and out policy, and we'd have to put onus on the occupier again to make sure all the users were sanitising their hands in and out, etc.
Yeah, because at least with the coffee shop, you have got 2 definite entrances and exits, haven't you? Which the other buildings haven't got.
They won't be able to use the foyer area. They'll have to use the rear doors onto the patio.
Yeah, the side door on the back. Yeah,
on the back.
Yeah,
Jackie?
But I think my question's been answered, because if they can't use the foyer, they can't use the toilets. Because that was my other question: how are you going to manage the toilet?
Sorry, if anybody does need the toilet, Mike said they'd have somebody take them round there with a key, and they'll just use the disabled toilet. We've taken the hand dryer is going to be unplugged, and they'll have to use paper towels and dispose of them in a double bag system to meet the requirements of the guidance that we've had.
Okay.
Because apparently the hand dryers make things worse. That's what the guidance says. So we're controlling the people won't be able to come in off the street to use the toilets, which was the biggest fear.
Yes, that was my question.
Yes,
If the toilet's open, people will use the toilet.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any comments?
May I ask a question, Chair?
Yes.
Has Mike come up with an indication of how it's going to be managed from a coffee shop scenario? Number of tables, spacing of tables, things of that nature, whether the cash is going to be contactless, just day-to-day things that we all take for granted. We know about the one way in and the one way out, and 1 metre distancing as a minimum, but 2 metres preferred. Has he come up with some sort of management plan of how the coffee facility is going to be managed in a safe way?
Yes, he has. He's come up with a very, very detailed risk assessment. The tables are all 2 metres apart. He's got somebody on the door taking details for track and trace. The queuing's outside. They're still taking cash, but he's encouraging contactless. And then they've installed a screen between the staff and the person handing the money over. The staff were on a training course today, and as far as I'm aware, I think they'll be wearing PPE as well, and it'll be table service only. So he's obviously gone through the toilet bit as well. He's been very comprehensive in the risk assessment.
It sounds as if he's put a lot of thought into it. How it can at some point, albeit scaled down, viable operation. Yeah. Okay.
My thoughts are that we should let him reopen once he's had a clean bill of health from the environmental health officer, because at least then we would have that to fall back on as well as a double check on the standards and to make sure he is fully compliant. I don't know if anybody else has got any comments on that.
I think that's a good idea, Chair.
Sandra?
So he wanted to open it from Monday.
Yeah.
We're already Thursday. When's the environmental health officer going to come across?
We don't know. We're waiting to hear that.
They may have been today, but I had a call from them yesterday, and the lady I spoke to said she'd get a colleague to come out to Brixworth to have a look.
Okay.
Mainly,
I just think. I mean, for me, our responsibility as trustees is to ensure that the risk assessment has been taken out, and that we are also happy that we've had sight of that risk assessment, and that maybe, Peter should also, ideally, would have been in attendance with the environmental health officer when they went to see the coffee shop. Just thinking from the standpoint of being a trustee, have we done due diligence ourselves?
I think in as much that Peter's gone through the risk assessment on our behalf, then yes, but it's anything else that we're perhaps not fully aware of, which is why I'd like the environmental health people to have some sort of comment. Kevin?
Yeah, we need the EHO out there with Peter, because we're trustees of it, nobody else. So I don't think it can open until we've actually got that. I don't know if Peter's, I didn't pick it up, if Peter's actually seen the risk assessments.
I have, yes. Yeah, I've seen the summary and the detailed risk assessment, yeah.
Right. So I think I'd be in touch with Daventry first thing tomorrow morning and saying, are you coming out today?
Or have they been out today? Or
Well, yes, exactly. But they should be doing it through Peter as well.
they should be. No, Peter's made contact there.
Yeah, because we're the trustees. So the parish council is, I should say.
Yeah. Any other comments from anybody? Okay, I'd like to propose then that we ask the Olive Branch to stay closed until we've been given the clean bill of health from Daventry's Environmental Health Officer. And it will probably take a couple of days after that for them to open. But as long as we've got a clean bill of health for environmental health, then I think as trustees we should allow that. Do I have a seconder for that?
A quick question, if I may, please.
Yes.
Will the EHO have sight of the risk assessment as well, or not?
I would have thought they would have to have a copy to see sight of that.
Well, on that basis, then I second your motion.
I think Kevin seconded it as.
Oh, sorry.
All those in favour then of the Olive Branch opening subject to the EHO's. Is that everybody, Francis? Yeah? Yeah, that's everybody then. Thank you very much. Okay, next one.
Stephen, sorry, I was abstaining because I've missed most of the discussion. I've just joined because I was at another meeting. Apologies.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise, me, Stephen. Thank you, it's Stuart.
Okay, yeah, I did see your name pop up halfway through that, so yeah. The next one is the community areas and the community centre and library. I think, as Peter's already said, that's going to remain closed. Now, I have seen some letters from Northampton, or some communication from Northampton Acre, who recommend that letters are sent out to all users to ask them questions: when are they going to come back, and how are they going to run things? And it seems a sensible sort of letter. And I suspect most won't be coming back now until September anyway. But do you think that's something we should do? So as get people to start thinking about how they're going to use the centre.
A quick question, Chair, if I may.
Yes.
In respect of the library, regardless of the lending library aspect of it, within the foyer area, at the entrance to it, are computer screens and for people to use the internet, as well as the reception being a sort of Hermes parcel drop-off.
Yeah.
Is there any halfway measure? Because I personally see problems with the library opening. This question about sanitising books, you're not allowed to pick things up and put them down without them being cleaned, and that's an extra management activity, which I think is perhaps too wieldy. But is there an opportunity for part of the library facilities, such as the computer access to internet and Hermes drop-off and pick-up, be open until full guidance is available?
I think it's Northamptonshire Libraries who have said they want to keep it closed, and we're only going to open the 5 main libraries. That's correct, isn't it? That's correct, isn't it, Peter?
Yes, it is. They're focusing on the big 5, I believe.
Okay.
Any other comments on the community centre?
Just a quick one, Stephen, if that's okay. Public liability insurance, how does the centre stand on that in terms of opening?
That's a very good question, and one that we've been looking into. And it looks like there is no insurance at all on any aspect on behalf of the trustees for the building. Now, Peter has obtained a quote from our existing insurer, Parish Council insurer, and we're going to bring it back to the next meeting. So we'd get the public liability content, and then also we was going to propose sending around notes to all the other users, asking them for details of their insurances to make sure everything was in order. But it looks like we don't know whether there has ever been any insurance at the community centre at all. We can't find any record of it, and it's certainly not as stated as part of the Parish Council's insurance.
It was when it was hived off as a charitable organisation, it became a separate entity in its own right, and at that time it should have probably taken out its own insurance. It's assumed it was part of the Parish Council's insurance, but clearly it's the trust, it's not the Parish Council's. So I've got actions in hand to try and rectify that as soon as possible.
I mean, are we allowed to place that insurance without coming to a meeting? I mean, it seems a fairly fundamental thing.
Well, to be honest, it's a trust issue anyway, rather than a Parish Council issue.
Council, yeah.
So I'm probably not bound by the financial regs. But
sorry, Peter. Oh, sorry, through you, Chair. Is that true? Is the library separate? I believe the library's insured.
Oh, the library will be insured, and the Olive Branch, I would suspect, would have its insurance through the church. But the community centre doesn't have any insurance. So, for example, if somebody had fallen down the stairs and put a claim in because they were wet or we hadn't followed procedures, we're not covered for legal expenses and we're not covered for any compensation.
No, I understand. I think the query came for us when we were running events in the evening.
Yeah.
We tried to find out if we were covered by the library's insurance for the Friends of Brixworth Library, and we were told that we were, even though it was happening what's effectively outside opening hours. I'm now wondering if that would have been true if somebody, because we collected the chairs, for example, from the community centre to bring them in the library, does the insurance stop at that door, or does it?
I would assume so.
What to me?
It would stop. Our areas, it'd be contained in red ink on the legal agreement. So basically the foyer, the toilets, the staircase and the upstairs hall will come under the remit of the trust.
So in fact, the people who attended our events in the evening may never have been covered for using the loos.
Yeah, that's the way I would read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's obviously just something that's fallen through over the years and it's never been picked up. Well, it was this. The lady from the insurance company said it's quite common for the parish councils to assume that separate charities can piggyback on the back of their insurance, and she said that isn't the case.
Well, I think we should sort of action it as soon as possible to make sure that we're covered, especially as we move forward now. Fortunately, nothing's happened to date, so...
What I suggest to do, if I can action it, and I'll put it on the agenda for approval at the next trust meeting. As I say, because it's not a parish council item of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So just going back, do we send letters out to all the users and ask when they intend to come back, what they intend to do? People generally think that's a good idea?
I think yes, I think it is a good idea. Sorry, Chair.
Yeah. Okay, I propose that we send out letters to all the regular users and ask what their intentions are, and we can use the Northampton Acre template as the basis for that, and just put our letter heading on. Do you have a second for that?
Yeah,
Thanks, Jackie. Okay, all those in favour? Everybody? Okay. Leaning with you, yes? Yeah, okay, that's everyone. Thank you very much. And then lastly on this item, impact on staffing, which is really the impact on the cleaner. At the moment, this is not working at all for us. Obviously, if the olive branch opens, then there would be possibly extra cleaning duties, and whether that would come under the olive branch would pay that is something we perhaps need to discuss. Peter, have you spoke to the olive branch about?
The olive branch actually employ the cleaner separately, so they pay her separately through their own books. And basically, she's on 3 separate contracts. She's got a contract with the olive branch. She works for a contractor to clean the library through NCC, and then she's got a contract with Brixworth Parish Council to clean the community centre. And it's that element that at the moment she's furloughed, but because I think we probably need to start certainly planning for reopening, whether it's September or whenever, we should perhaps start doing a deep clean. We can do a bit at a time and at least try to get the building as up to spec as possible and get good value, because obviously we're paying her. It seems silly that if we try to blitz it in a couple of days at the end when we can just do it gradually over a month or 2.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with that. Is everyone quite happy to get the cleaner in and we start doing the deep cleaning in the area? Yes? Yeah.
And that'll be subject to risk assessment and PPE and everything else.
Yeah, PPE and sanitizer and all this.
Yeah.
Chair?
Yes?
Presumably, yes, happy to get the cleaner in, but the deep clean done separately, presumably? By somebody else, by a professional company, or as a one-off, or...?
We could get a professional company to do a proper pressure clean of the carpets and everything while we're there, while the building's shut. But, I mean, generally, it's like everything, it needs blitzing top to bottom. We need to try and get it back to square one. Certainly the floors, we've had numerous complaints about the floors. But yeah, I mean, we could get a deep clean and complement it with Amanda's work.
Sandra?
I'm just going to say, if we've had complaints, pre-COVID, then it is absolutely essential that we do get a professional company in. No disrespect to Amanda. This isn't the forum to discuss that. But if she hasn't brought it up to a standard because it seems as though people have complained, then we can hardly not.
One of the issues is the lack of like a floor scrubber or whatever. But there's no point buying a floor scrubber because we might be changing the floor within 12 months. So we need to buy a floor polisher or scrubber at that time.
Lena?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've just had our office deep cleaned, and we used our cleaning company for that. And there's a clear sort of guidance on what we need to do in order to do a deep clean. So in terms of the cleaner, she could definitely follow those, but it's having the carpets cleaned. Obviously, having a professional company to come and do that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, then I'd like to propose that we arrange for the premises to be deep cleaned by a specialist company initially, and then after that get Amanda to go around on a regular basis to keep the cleaning up to scratch. Do we have a second for that?
I'm happy to second that.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All those in favour? Yeah. That's everyone, Peter.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes all the business for that. Part 2 of the meeting was dates of future meetings. Media communications, Wednesday the 8th of July. planning now Thursday the 9th of July, brought forward from the 13th, so Peter can go and enjoy himself on holiday.
That's just so I can have a week off. That's all right.
And full council meeting on Thursday the 30th of July. I don't think we've got...
Sorry, Chair, I was planning to have that retail working group immediately after the planning committee on Thursday the 9th, if that's all right with councillors. Straight after, and then we can just talk about where we're going with the retail group.
That's fine for me. Is everyone else happy with that?
Yeah.
Sandra?
So, have we not contacted Jonathan Harris and Lisa?
No, but they'll get invited to the meeting exactly the same as the parish councillors.
Yeah.
They may have Daventry meetings. I have no idea what their diaries are like.
Yeah, I just thought that time was of the essence, and we had the...
And how do we pick who to invite? I mean, obviously Councillor Harris because he's on the planning committee. But
I just thought that we were going to... Sorry.
Is Lisa just interested, or because there's Ian Hudson as well who was interested?
Yeah, I just thought that we would have contacted these people who've been very vocal about the co-op, because I just got the impression last week that time was of the essence, and what, 2 or 3 weeks would have gone by, and we still haven't formed a working group. I'm just a bit confused, really.
Well, we have got the working group as the parish council.
I thought it was the parish council and...
Yes, others who we want to invite.
Right, okay.
So everyone happy to tack that on to the end of the planning meeting?
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we've got anything on the... Sorry, Jackie.
I'm still not clear. So are we going to invite other people along to the meeting at the end of the planning meeting?
Yes.
Yes. But if anyone could give me the names who they would like to invite, I will invite them. I certainly was going to invite Councillor Harris because he was the one that raised the matter in the planning committee. But in terms of members of the community, if anybody's got any names, then I can invite them along.
Or should this be something that actually goes out on our media? Yeah. To rather, because I don't want to be accused of, or the parish council shouldn't be accused of just sort of cherry picking, because we may get someone who said, well, if I knew about it, I would like to have been on it. So maybe actually, Elaine, I don't know what you think, that we should actually just put a message out there to ask people if they want to come forward and have a say on...
Well, I don't think it would be immediately obvious from the description what's involved in that, so it might need a bit of an extra explanation for people to choose whether they wanted to attend or not.
Yeah.
I think it's, sorry to interrupt, I think it is worth putting it on social media. I mean, maybe people from the co-op will want to attend.
Maybe, yeah. Lena?
I was just going to say, might it make sense to do the first meeting first and then know what it is that you want to put out into the public forum?
Sandra?
It just goes back to, I thought time was of the essence, and we had that meeting a week ago. When's the planning meeting?
Next week.
Next, which day, sorry?
Thursday, so it's 2 weeks.
Okay, so a fortnight would have gone past. I mean, it just seems a little bit it just seems a bit bizarre to have had the fallout that we had last week, because it was time was of the essence, and we're waiting 2 weeks to have a meeting to decide who we're going to ask. Why did we fall out over this? I thought this was urgent. in order to try and have a dialogue with the co-op before they went to Daventry with their appeal. If we delay this any longer, then we risk the co-op going to Daventry with an appeal, and we're on the back foot again because we've got no dialogue with them. And I thought this whole thing was about having dialogue with them.
And there's nothing to stop them going to appeal anyway, because obviously they've got a developer who's purchased the building or has got in principle to purchase it, and they already paid some money, and they've obviously paid money already to do surveys. So there's no reason why things can't go in tandem.
Okay. My comparison is, if we hadn't sat down with Barrett's and had dialogue with them, then there was every possibility that we wouldn't have ended up with a surgery and £1 million going to the school and the Section 106 money, etc., etc., etc. So surely it is about having dialogue as soon as possible, not afterwards. Because if they go to appeal and then we sort of come up with something as a reaction to that, they could very well turn around and say, well, if you had told us earlier about that, then we would have considered it. It's a bit late now. I don't understand why we're waiting so long when we had a big falling out about this a week ago, and that presentation was made based on time was of the essence. And now it seems as though time isn't of the essence.
Well, I think it's a case of fitting it in around everything else. But Ian did catch your hand up for a fair while.
Thank you. I think time is of the essence to a degree. I think we've got to realise that whatever we do at this stage, we're most unlikely to dissuade the co-op from going ahead with wanting to get permission for that site. Well, I'll get my crystal ball out. It's a business decision to get permission for a site, which isn't a commitment to build, but is a commitment to get that. So I think that's going to go on anyway. What we've got to do is get a viable alternative. That's where we've got to pace ourselves efficiently to get that as quick as we can. An alternative to give to the co-op. I don't think we'll beat them to it or dissuade them from appealing at all. But it's the period after that we're going to be looking at. But the sooner we start, the better, I think.
Tom, did you have your hand up?
No, I didn't. If I did, I do apologise.
Okay, that's fine. Lena?
I just wanted to make it clear that I wasn't there at the meeting, so I don't know actually what happened. So so my point was just from what we were talking about today. So I wasn't saying we should hold back or anything. I just from the discussions we were having today, because I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay.
Chair, can I make a comment, please?
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of merit, and I do agree with what Councillor Harris said some weeks back when the planning was discussed at Daventry, that we should try and be proactive in some respects. But I'm slightly nervous that what have we got to put on the table, so to speak? Or is it just going to be a sort of circular discussion of have you looked at other things? I'm not sure whether we have anything to put on the table, bearing in mind the discussions of last week regarding this and the sketch that was put on everybody's screens. Can we elaborate? Because I think there needs to be a very clear mandate of what we're trying to achieve. I think we can have. I think we know in principle what we're trying to achieve, but how is it going to work? And who should we be talking to? Should it be the co-op, the developer, or their agents? I don't know.
My thoughts are that perhaps opening dialogue with the co-op. I think that the agent didn't come across very well at the meeting with Daventry. And yes, and I think, we have we got any suggestions that we could make? Are there any plots of land? Are there any disused buildings? And it's really sort of banging our heads together really and seeing if there's anything. And then, do we want to speak to the co-op? Then we go to the co-op and say, what about these? Or have you thought of this? Sandra?
Well, why would we have waited a fortnight to bang our heads together? It's just a work. We decided a week ago that we would have a working group, and we can do that via, email, have suggestions and stuff like that.
Well, no, we need to...
I don't understand why we're just, at least what we can have is the so-called 1980s brainstorming session in order to then formulate some sort of plan going forward, rather than, I can just imagine, we get together next week, we then say, right, okay, then, so who are we going to invite to join this working group? Right, okay, well, that's going to take another fortnight. Then we sort of, have another meeting. So 4 weeks have gone past, and it's like, right, okay, let's do some blue sky talking now, shall we? And then another 3 weeks go past, and then it's Happy Easter.
Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Tom here. You've got to decide what you want to achieve. I thought the first meeting was looking to see what areas we could possibly put a co-op into, or another unit. We don't have to keep saying the co-op all the time. And there aren't that many in the Brixworth area. You've got to be absolutely honest about that. You can name them on one hand where possibly you could put them. So I think you need to do that first of all. Then from that it would be speaking to Daventry, can we do this or not, and see what they say, and then you go to the people. But I can't see, you can't go to the co-op or the agents if you haven't got anything to go and talk about. They're going to do what they're going to do, end of story.
Yeah.
They'll just do it, because that's the way the people operate. We won't stop that.
No.
So it's fairly straightforward to me. I don't know how many people you need on the working group from outside. Not many, I would have thought, who can actually think of other areas where a supermarket, for want of a better word, could go in the parish. Because there isn't that many places. So that's what I see next week determining what we come up with, and saying, right, we can invite Jonathan now. But who else? How do you determine who else to invite and not invite? Yeah, that's the bit I'm struggling with.
Peter?
So, I was just going to point out, for clarity, Councillor Harris at the Daventry meeting said he encouraged the co-op to come to us, not the other way around. He said it was up to the co-op agent to open dialogue with people like the parish council and discuss it. He didn't put the onus on the parish council to chase the co-op. If they had anything about them, they would have engaged people right at the very beginning, to be frank, before they put plans in, and they haven't. And again, he's obviously chosen not to come to us, even after those comments of planning committee. So we might be knocking on a closed door, really. If they, as pointed out by Councillor Barrett, they're probably clearly focused on going to appeal.
I think you're sorry, Peter. I think you're absolutely right on that. That is a possibility, but I think Jonathan did actually use the expression proactive. So whilst I think the co-op may be seen to be have a slightly different agenda and do what they want to do, we should at least try and explore all possibilities before we sort of turn our backs on them again.
Yeah, Jackie?
I think if we invite them, it will be them turning their backs, won't it? If
Yes,
they
indeed.
do not come.
Yeah.
And that puts us in a better light, I think.
Yes.
I think before next Thursday, if people can start thinking about anything, and then it gives a chance to bring it to the meeting. Sandra?
Can we just decide now that we would like Jonathan Harris to be part of this working group if he has got the inclination. We don't need to wait a week to ask him. We can ask him now, and then maybe he can attend that meeting next week with his ideas. And in the meantime, we have our own ideas that we can email to Peter. But I just would like to know that next Thursday's meeting is going to be a productive meeting, not a meeting where we go, oh right, okay, so what do we do now?
Yeah,
I think we'd all like it to be productive, to be quite honest.
Right, well then let's make it productive.
So what would we like on the agenda?
Right.
Identification of sites.
Yeah.
Do we want to clarify the terms of reference at the beginning? At the moment, we haven't agreed what the objective of the group is.
Well, I think that's pretty important, isn't it?
Yeah, terms of reference.
Terms of reference and objectives at the start.
Yeah. And then the second one,
Identification
identified
of sites.
sites.
Well, we as individuals can come up with alternative sites now. I don't have to wait till next Thursday to say, can we consider? And then at least we can pack Jonathan off or whoever off to speak to whoever at Daventry to go, well, is this feasible? Is that feasible?
We'd need to do it through Peter.
Yeah.
You've got to do it through the right channels. It's got to go through Peter to speak to the ones and do it that way. But yeah, you can come up with, like I just said, I can tell you 5 sites. I'm struggling after 5.
Well, yeah. So put them forward, Kevin.
Kevin, out of interest, can you share the 5 sites now?
The Ashway.
You've got the Ashway. You've got the industrial estate. Yeah. You've got the what's it called? Not the whole Cart Road. Beg your pardon.
The old Harbour Road.
No. Yeah, you could do the old Harbour Road up at the top. There's a field there.
Yeah.
Or the Stratton play area.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're 4. And I think the other one that's been bandied around is a field near Mary Tom Lane.
Yeah, Dallas Burston's field.
Dallas Burston who's sending something out, but that's going to raise its head.
Right.
But I can't think of any more, not unless anyone else can, obviously.
Okay.
No, well, I think you're right. That we just put all those on the agenda and talk about them and see. Yeah.
You could put them in order of preference. And what's more likely to get through in terms of neighbourhood plan and local plan?
Is the tip shop open for sale again? Is the tip shop closed as a tip shop now?
No, that was the old co-op apparently, wasn't it?
That was the old one.
They moved out of there because it was too small.
You need 1/3 of an acre.
I have no idea what that is.
Well, if we're really using our imagination and want to add to that list, you've always got the new industrial area that's being proposed, although it doesn't allow shopping at the moment. That's a possibility, but especially Mabbott's Yard. They're, according to the information we've been hearing, there's a company ready to develop that area. Now, you might say that's not in Brixworth. It's a bit of a journey. It's a nearer journey for most people than many places in Kingsthorpe or Harborough are. It's arguably a good spot if a convenience store stayed in the village.
Sandra?
There's also a field on the left-hand side as you go over the roundabout towards the reservoir. They'd be happy to sell that field for the right price.
What's the description of that, Sandra? The road name?
So you know when you're going out out of the village towards the cricket ground, and you go straight over the roundabout as though you're going down to the reservoir. I think on the left-hand side, between Dallas Burson's two fields, there's a field right between, which is up for sale.
Right.
I know where you are. Yeah, it's near the farm shop, isn't it? That small farm shop.
Yeah.
Oh, that on the other side, right.
Yeah. Each one's going to have its own individual problems, isn't it? In some ways, but at least putting a pin in the map gives something to talk about, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So we can get those identified on an area and go through the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll do that after the planning meeting next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So is Peter able to invite Jonathan Harris next week?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay, moving on. We haven't got any legal matters or anything, have we, Peter?
No, nothing. No change.
Okay. As far as I know, there's been no urgent matters to discuss. So therefore, can I have the meeting closed? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you at the planning meeting next week.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.